Good morning, my name is Martin and this is the Tribe of the Fox. And today I want to start a new format on the Tribe of the Fox channel. And this will be a series of videos about the heathen Underworlds. And that's why this series is called Undirheimar, which means underworlds. And it's plural, multiple underworlds. So you can read all about the heathen underworlds in, for instance, the Prose Edda and the Poetic Edda. So these are my copies. You regular viewers have seen this falling apart old 1944 Edda before. I really like that copy. Got one from 1928, also a very old one. However, the Tribe of the Fox, we really like to study. And with we, I mean Dirkin and me. Together we form this project called the Tribe of the Fox. So Dirkin and me, we love to study. We love to study the Edda poetry. We love to study the books of other heathens and pagans. Scientific works are also interesting, very important. However, we really love trance journeying, because you can read all you want, but if you have no experience, that's very limited. And that's why we really enjoy trance journeying. Now, if you don't know how trance journeying goes, Derek and me, we have made an entire playlist together, several videos. And those are pretty deep videos. We give you simple, well, how do you say the simple tools to do it yourself. But we also share some quite deep experiences and also the trouble that you can encounter when trance journeying. So if you're interested in that, then please check out that playlist. Now, there's another reason why the Tribe of the Fox loves journeying to the underworlds so much. Because the underworlds, they are very important. Now, by the way, underworlds are not necessarily an afterlife. Some of them are, like Helheim, for instance, or Mirkvider. Others, like Jotunheim or Muspelheim, they are not afterlives. However, life and death plays a very important role in many of the underworlds, like Helheim, Niflheim, Mirkvider. Yeah, that's also about birth and rebirth, or not to be reborn anymore. So there's a lot of things going on when it comes to life and death in the underworld. It's also the place from which creation and growth is coming from. But also destruction is also coming from there. I mean, think about this. As human beings, we grow, and then at a certain point we start to get into decay. And the same goes for plants, animals, trees, even the entire cosmos at one point will be done. So yeah, creation and destruction is also coming from the underworld, and we are going to talk about this already in this episode a little bit, but in next episodes some more. Yeah, another very important thing about the underworlds is that they are so vast. They're huge. So we human beings, we live in a realm called Midgard, and Midgard is just a little tiny dot. Human beings are not that numerous and not that powerful. Also, other families of deities like the Asir or the Vanir, they also don't seem to be very numerous. However, in the underworld, that's basically the territory of the Tuarzar. And we're going to talk about this when we talk about creation myth, the going to do that in this episode. But the tours are there are very many of them, and their territories are vast, and their worlds, they are very important for, well, life and death, um, for creation and destruction. There is a lot happening there. So yeah, and Derek and me in our trance journeys, we seem to have pretty good access to these worlds. So I traveled about 200 times to Helheim with trance journeying. Mirkvider is a place where both Dirkjen and me have access to. That's more like an almost in-between world, between our world and the Underworlds. It's also an afterlife. Yeah, so we really enjoy this, and we enjoy liminal places too. So places on our realm Midgard that are in connection with the Underworld, such as ancient wells. And we made a beautiful video about this too, when Dirkjen and me made a field trip to some ancient wells here in the Netherlands. Yeah, and you can also go to swamps. They are also liminal places between birth and death. And of course cemeteries as well. So yeah, we have great affinity with the Underworlds. So that's a good reason to make this video series. Okay, so that said, let's talk a little bit about the creation myth. Because we are going to talk about worlds, so you need to know a little bit about the creation myth, and many of you viewers already know it. But if you don't know, well, here it comes. So this is also the title of this episode, by the way, from the primordial void to Yggdrasil. Yggdrasil is a world tree. So everything started with a primordial void. A big void. Now that sounds like nothingness, like a vacuum, but that's not the case. It's more complicated than that, but just call it a void. Now, on one side of the void, a world appeared named Muspelheim. That was a world of flames, a world of heat, and there was a being there guarding it, and his name is Sword. So that's the oldest being that we know of, Sword. On the other side of the primordial void, there was this world of ice, and that world was called Niflheim. Niflheim also had a well, and we're going to talk more about this well in the next episode. The ice from Niflheim fell into the void because there were rivers there coming from that well. It transported water, ice, into the void. The sparks coming from Muspelheim also reached the void. And life came into being there. Now here comes this well. The well I talked about just a minute ago in Niflheim. That well contained, well, not just water, it contained aether. A-I-T-R, aether. That is a substance that creates life, I mean. And it is also a toxic, a poison that has destruction in it. So you see, aether has both creation and destruction in it. That's why everything you encounter in this world comes and goes, and it always goes with decay. So what is said about aether? Here's an English translation. From Ailey waves, aether drops splashed, that grew into a giant, who begat all families, from which all giants come. That is why we are easily angered. Okay, so a giant came. So the void was now filled with ice and with aether, and impregnated with the flames from Muspelheim, and now a giant being came into being. His name was Ymir, or as the Tursar call him, so the Tursar are the ancient giants, they call him Aurgelmir. Yeah, and he, well, without having a wife, he was managed to reproduce anyway, and new Tuarzar ice giants came into being. Okay. However, somewhere in the ice, a cosmic cow called Autumbla, she was licking the ice. There was a new man or god. That would be basically the founding father of the family of the gods called Asir. That's where gods like Odin and Thor and a goddess like Frigg belong to. Now Odin, he decided to kill Ymir, the first being that came into being in that primordial void. He slaughtered Ymir, and with his body parts he created, and together with two brothers, or perhaps it's just one god in three manifestations, that's possible as well. Odin created Midgard, so the world that we humans live in. He created Asgard, a realm where the Asir gods like himself lived. Where Vanaheim and Alfheim came from, they are also worlds higher up, just like Asgard. Nobody knows where they came from. And yeah, there was a realm of the dead, and also the giants, they got their own part of the cosmos. So all kinds of things happened. So all these worlds, so the Edda poetry says that there are 9 worlds. In reality, there are more. There are in-between worlds as well. These 9 worlds were grouped around the world tree, Yggdrasil. And Yggdrasil has roots that go into the underworld. So that in short is the creation myth. And that is what the 9 worlds around the world tree are. So we are going to talk in the next episode specifically about the worlds in the underworld. That's the world of the giants, the realm of the dead. We're going to talk about Mirkvider. We're going to talk about the Ironwood. We're going to talk about Muspelheim and Niflheim. There's plenty to talk about. And a part of what I'm talking about is unverified personal gnosis. So my experiences. Some experiences are peer corroborated gnosis. So that's when people with unverified personal gnosis talk to each other and compare. So then you have a more clear view. And all the worlds I talk about are described in the Edda poetry. So, what else? Let me see, have I forgot something? No, not for today. So this was just the introduction video. And in the next episode I will talk about Jotunheim and the Ironwood, also called Jarnvider. So I hope to see you in the next episode. And I wish you all a nice day. Stay safe, stay healthy. See you in the next video. Bye bye.